Good morning. Hello, everybody. I wanted to start the camera at 10. I'm having issues with my contact lenses this morning, so we're wearing glasses. But I actually need one more minute, so I will wait to see who hops in. Hi, Erica. Good morning. Whoever hops in, or if you watch this later or whatever, I would love if people could let us know where you're tuning in from and just say hi. And today is going to be a little bit different. I want to talk quite a bit. I want to try not to say hi. So I'm hoping for a really interactive I'm hoping for a really interactive time where hopefully some people maybe will ask questions or just jump in. Thanks, you like my glasses. And I want to make this more of a chat. I wish that there was a way to connect with people. Hey Easy, good morning. I wish that there was a way that I can see people here, so I think moving forward I might try Zoom, but for right now we're gonna be here because I want to be able to be live. So hang out for just a minute, find a really comfortable place to sit. We're not going to do a lot of movement today, and it definitely won't be until quite a bit later, so just get comfortable and take a few deep breaths, and I'll be right back. Enjoy the ambiance. All right. Thanks for your patience. Hello. So, have had quite a few viewers of these videos, which is really a cool way to communicate. So, I just sort of want to make it clear that I'm communicating to a lot of people, because a lot of people end up tuning in from all over the place. So, I wanted to talk about a few things, and Erica, it's actually really interesting that you're here this morning. We have been coming to grips with some things lately, and by we, I mean all 50 trillion cells that are contained within this vessel that's currently called Shanna Light, Lila Hum. And we have realized that, well, we all have a connection to each other and to the earth and to everything. And we have a connection to source. We all have this connection to source. But by we, I mean this being here has a direct connection to source sometimes, that we are able to communicate and receive messages, download, some people call them. I guess this is me admitting I'm like coming out of the closet full on woo-woo. So if you're listening to this and you're like a science person that's gets weirded out by woo-woo, then you might want to turn this off. And I welcome anybody to turn anything off at any time. And in fact, that is one of the things that I wanted to talk about. There's so many things that I wanted to talk about, and I realized that so much, I think that we're all put here, we're all incarnated on this planet for a particular reason. We have a purpose. We have things that we're kind of, guided here to do. I'm going to kind of step out of the sunlight a little bit. And what this being was put here for was actually, I think, for this time that we're going through right now. And I'm getting clapping. Thank you. Was for this time that we're going through right now. We're going through a big shift. The earth is going through a huge shift, and it's transforming, and we're transforming. And so much is happening, as they say, as above, so below. And there's the in and the out, and the black and the white, and the right and the wrong, and the God and the devil, and the heaven and the hell, and the tide goes in and the tide goes out, and the moon waxes and the moon wanes. Something dies and something else is reborn. There's the yin and the yang, and the black and the white, and the Republican and the Democrat, and the man and the woman, and the masculine and feminine, and there's all these polarities in everything. And I've talked about this before, that it exists within us, and it exists within our world. And I know that what we're being asked to do right now is to really take a hard look at all of the things that are happening around us, both within us and externally, outside of us, and to really begin to take responsibility for all of those things. And hi, Carla. To really begin to take responsibility for what is happening inside of us, what is happening outside of us, and to realize that we're all connected, and all of this is connected. And I actually made some notes because I didn't want to forget what I was talking about, but I'll probably end up going off them. So the main thing I want to ask everybody is, what are your predominant thoughts? What do you find yourself thinking about the most? And stop and think about that for a minute. Do you even know? Are you aware? I miss you too. It's so hard for me to not look at the comments and talk. I want to kind of get into my space and channel this information. But hello, it's so nice to see everyone. So, what are your predominant thoughts? What do you think about the most? What are the thoughts that you hear on repeat in your head the most? And what do they feel like? How do you feel? And maybe the better question is, how do you want to feel? As an individual and as a planet, I think that's a huge question that we need to be asking ourselves right now, is how do we want to feel? It's not so much about what do you want, like what do you want? What do you want to manifest into your world? It's how do you, because what we're looking for is feelings. Like, why would you want to have a Maserati, or why would you want to have your soulmate, or all these different things? It's because you're looking to get a particular feeling from the inside. So what if you can just cultivate that feeling first? What if you can visualize what you want, or what it is that you want to see as a planet, as what we are to become, and visualize it, and then allow yourself to feel it before you have it. And that, my friends, is sort of like the key to manifestation, right? So I think it really begins by taking responsibility for our thoughts and our feelings, and realizing that they matter and they affect everything. And I think I keep saying I think, and I know because I get these messages from source. And sometimes it channels through me in strange ways with strange accents and such, and we'll get into that later, but I'm coming out of the woo-woo closet somewhat. I'll probably get weirder and weirder as the videos go. Anyway, I think the big thing that's happening right now is that we are all pointing fingers at everybody else, and we're saying, you're wrong. You're wrong, and you're wrong, and let me tell you why you're wrong. And you're wrong, and I'm right, and this is why, and I'm going to tell you why. And then that person's wrong because they think wrong because of this, and they're wrong, and everybody's wrong. And we're all jumping on the internet mostly, because it's pretty big, all that we really have now, and telling each other how we're wrong. What if we're all right? What if we're all gonna be all right? And what if we're actually all right now for us, for wherever we are on our own journey? And each one of us has a different path, has an individual journey that we're on. And it changes all the time, just like, what's that old song? To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. That song has been in my head a lot lately because there are seasons, and the Earth is experiencing a season right now. It's kind of a crazy cataclysmic hurricane season. There's a lot happening. We all are we experience these different seasons within us, and I think it's super important, again, to take responsibility for what's happening within us. And we've spent so long denying our emotions and telling ourselves that we should or shouldn't feel this way, or we should or somebody else should or shouldn't feel a certain way, or shouldn't think a certain way. They shouldn't be like that, or I shouldn't be like that. And we should all over ourselves. And then we end up sitting in a big pile of should. And don't should on me, and I won't should on you. And there is a lot of craziness happening in the world right now. It's like we're cleaning out a closet. It's like Earth is being asked to upgrade to the next operating system. And in order to upgrade to that operating system, we have to defrag the machine first. And the machine is us. And the machine is everything. And to that end, I also wanted to say, everything on Earth, the animals, the plants, everything on Earth works in this beautiful, harmonious alignment if we let it. If we just let it. If we, us humans, leave nature alone, she would be just fine. She would be great. And in fact, a lot of us have seen lately that she's been coming back. We've got blue skies, and we've got animals running around. And humans really at this point are the only things on the planet, I think, and this could be, you could argue with me on this, but that are out of alignment with that natural rhythm, that natural heartbeat, that the Schumann resonance that Mother Earth carries. So on a practical sense, I did say I was going to talk about some practical tools, and I have mentioned this before. I think it's super important to connect with the Earth right now. Excuse me, to get your bare skin connected to the Earth. They say we have lots and lots of nerve endings in the bottoms of our feet and our palms. So, get down in the front yard. It's a beautiful time of year for a lot of us. And feel her resonance and connect. And just allow yourself to just be. We've been doing for so long. We've just been running, and this whole thing is it's a cue for us to stop and just be for a little bit, and I want to say a cue for us to stop and think, but in a way it's a cue for us to stop thinking, to stop being up here so much and start coming down here. And I don't want this to sound preachy, because I did say that everything's going to be all right, and everything is going to be all right. You know why? Because everything is always all right. And the worst thing and the best thing that could ever happen to you is a feeling. Think about that. The worst thing that can ever happen to you is a feeling. So, that said, how do you want to feel? How do you find yourself feeling most of the time? How are you allowing yourself to feel most of the time? What are your predominant thoughts? And if we're experiencing, because we're all experiencing very varying degrees of negative thoughts, our shadow side, because it exists in everything. There's light and dark in all things. We can't run away. I mean, you could spend your whole life running away from the pain, but eventually it does catch up. And I think that's kind of what's happening to Earth right now, is it's caught up, and it's time for us to look at it. And it's not always pretty. It's not always fun. Life is not supposed to necessarily be graceful and easy all the time. We are supposed to go through struggle. What do they say? Smooth seas never made for a skilled sailor. I love that one. We have to go through these trials and tribulations to grow, to become bigger people. Hi, Luann. And I think one of again, taking responsibility for what we're thinking, and also taking responsibility within ourselves for what we're thinking, and allowing ourselves to think and to feel and to be whatever it is that we're thinking and feeling and being in any given moment. Instead of pushing it down, instead of saying I shouldn't be feeling this way, or oh, I can't believe I'm crying, or whatever, or shaming others for having a difficult time with this. And we're all guilty of this, so am I. If we could maybe all just take a step back, take a breath, realize that we're all on different individual paths. We're all working out our personal stuff at different rates. And, if you think of it as like Earth is making the transformation from caterpillar to butterfly, that is not a pretty thing. The caterpillar they're cute, right? And then they have to eat a whole bunch, and I'm gonna say this scientifically wrong, but then they're in the cocoon, and then I think they like eat their way out of the cocoon. They kind of like eat themselves, sort of. And they don't know what they're going to become. And then, blah, one day they emerge, and it's this amazing butterfly, flap, flap. And then they up and fly away, and I think that's what we're all doing right now. And for some of us, we're at different stages. Some people don't even know that they're in a cocoon yet. Some people haven't maybe gotten into the cocoon. Some people are already out and flying around. I think some of us are kind of flying around, and then we come back, and maybe we crawl back inside the cocoon for a minute. And if we could just be forgiving with ourselves and with each other, I think it's so important. Forgiveness is everything. And I will say from personal experience, forgiveness is what brought us back to the 50 trillion cells of us, what brought us to the kind of work that we do, to wanting to help other people. I experienced quite a bit of trauma in my younger years, and a car accident that I almost died, and all kinds of interesting stuff, and have read tons and tons of spiritual books. They're all over the place, and I went and got a fancy degree and was a religious studies major and all that stuff, but none of that matters. None of that matters. What we learned the most from in life was struggle and hardship, and having people do things to us that were not so nice. And what it took me forever to realize was that nobody did anything to me. All of it happens for us. Everything that happens, and this can be a really hard pill to swallow, because people hear this as like, oh, it's your fault that you're having a hard time in life. It's not really that. It's just, if we're thinking of ourselves as spiritual beings here having a human experience, and we're here to learn and to grow and to ascend and to evolve, then nothing's happening to us. Everything is happening for us. Everything's happening for our growth, and the universe is expressing itself through us. It's like we're all God, and God is learning about itself through us. It's waking up in the blink of an eye through each and every one of us, individually and collectively. So we're learning how to be inside of these bodies. We're learning how to maintain our energy, how to navigate our internal energy, and we're also bouncing off of each other, and we're learning how to navigate energy with each other. And one of the most interesting practices that I do conscious movement practice, and one of the most interesting practices with my teacher Cynthia Kennedy that she had us do when we first began was we're moving around a busy room with a whole bunch of people, and it was a classroom experience, so it was a whole bunch of different age people that don't know each other well, and we just walked around each other like a cell. There was music playing, we just walked around, and she said, I want you to notice each person. Well, first we had our eyes kind of down, and then eventually she said, bring your eyes up and begin to look at the other people as you come across them, and you don't have to smile, you don't have to do anything, you just notice. Notice from the inside what you feel as you see or connect with another person. And we all, the way that she put it is, we all kind of want to, we either want to fight them or we want them. Or somewhere in between. But we do tend to have these reactions toward other beings. We're either attracted or we're repelled. We're exhaling or we're inhaling. Do you follow this? The in and the out, and the black and the white, and the down and the up, and the right and the wrong, and the God and the heaven and the devil and the all that. We experience that with other people, within ourselves and outside of ourselves. And what we're learning to do is to navigate all of that and to become more aware of it, become conscious of it, and become okay with it, whatever it is. And the rest of that practice is we just moved around and we just looked at each person, and she said, you don't have to have any reaction or anything, just notice. Do you feel repelled by this person? Do you feel attracted to this person? Just notice what you're feeling on the inside, and you can even name it. A lot of teachers will say, when you're first really starting to become conscious of what you're thinking and feeling, you can say, angry. Like I'm experiencing angry thoughts right now. Not I'm angry, but I'm experiencing angry thoughts. Or bliss. I'm experiencing blissful thoughts right now. Or whatever it is that you're feeling, you can name it in your head. And so then I go back to that, what do you think about most? What kind of thoughts do you find yourself thinking about the most? And can you really connect to that? Can you really become conscious of it? I've had another practice where I was told to write down all of my thoughts, which is impossible. Another practice is to write down every time that you feel angry, or I can't remember. Anyway, there's all different kinds of practices to make yourself aware of your thoughts. And it's funny how often our brains are just kind of going off on a tangent. And they say that the predominant thoughts that we have tend to be repeat thoughts, that like 95% of what we're thinking about is repeat thoughts from yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before, going all the way back to childhood. So the new science, there's a lot of new science out now. I highly recommend Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden, Dr. Michael Beckwith. I was just watching the other day. There's so many great teachers out there right now. It's amazing. But anyway, the new science has shown that from the time that we're born until we're about 6, during that nonverbal time, we're not able to communicate verbally. And so how we learn is by taking in information from our external environment, and mostly from our primary caregivers. So babies are like, they're looking at everything, they're absorbing everything, and they're looking to their primary caregivers for their response to the environment. And so if your primary caregivers, if their predominant energy, if you will, was one of like anxiety, or maybe they were, negative in whatever way, or maybe they were abusive to you, or maybe they were kind, maybe they were sweet, maybe they were all kinds of different things, but whatever they're kind of like, they say that each of us has sort of a predominant energy that we kind of carry with us. And think about it, a mother is holding a baby really close. The baby is like absorbing the energy of the mother. So we take that in, and it sort of programs us subconsciously like a computer. And then we go out into the world and we have these expectations about what the world is going to present to us, which are mostly based on what we've been taught. And then the world, in fact, usually confirms those expectations, because think about this. You go to the store, if you're allowed to, and someone says, hey, nice mask, or hey, nice sweater. I like your sweater today. And you might, if you're in a good mood, you might say, oh, thank you, I just got it, I feel really great when I wear it, whatever. And if you're in a bad mood, you might say, oh, this old thing, I'm so fat, blah, I feel blah, right? Same intention coming from the other person, but your interpretation, your perception of it depends on what the feeling that you're carrying, the perception that you have. So again, going back to that childhood thing, we go out into the world, we have these ideas and expectations about how the world is going to present itself to us, and the world often confirms those expectations, and then we just keep kind of telling that story. Well, the world is like this, and here's how I feel about it, and this is just how I am. And we keep telling that story over and over and over again to ourselves and to the world, and pretty soon it's like we have these thoughts, and the thoughts become feelings, and then the feelings become more thoughts and more feelings, and pretty soon they turn into behaviors, and pretty soon the behaviors turn into personality traits, and then we're like, this is just who I am. That's just how I am. How often have you heard people say that? And it's really not just how you are, it's how you've learned to be, and it's the story that you've been telling yourself about yourself and telling the world about yourself, and it's just a story. And you can change it anytime you want. And I'm living proof. You can change your story anytime you want. And we can change Earth's story right now, simply by becoming aware, being conscious of what it is that we think, what we're thinking, what we're feeling. How do you want to feel? I go back to that again. Not what do you want, but how do you want to feel? And see if you can find a way to cultivate that feeling and carry it and hold it as much as you can. And when you can't, forgive yourself and forgive others. And this is another big one that and I'll backtrack to that, and learn to navigate when you do have those shadowy thoughts, those darker negative thoughts, emotion, anger and sadness and confusion and fear of the unknown is huge. Our brains are equipped basically to be afraid of the unknown. Like we will stay in bad situations way longer than we need to, simply because we don't know what's on the other side. And so many of us don't do, and I'm just as guilty as everybody else, so many of us don't move into our fullest expression of our beings because we're afraid of the unknown. This is part of me coming out of the woo-woo closet. So if we can begin to navigate those dark nights of the soul, if we can begin to allow ourselves to look into why we're feeling the shadow feelings that we're feeling and lean into them instead of denying them. And humor helps, dance helps, movement helps, crying helps, anything that you can do to kind of get rid of that stuff, but mostly forgiveness. Forgiveness, forgiveness, forgiveness. We cannot talk about forgiveness enough. Going back to my own personal story, it took me a super long time, but I am so grateful for the traumatic things that happen in this life, the things that happen for me, the things that happen through me, the things that I was given the opportunity to learn from and to grow from and to become who is sitting here now, who's always growing and always changing and always going through different seasons and will always change. If you stop changing, you might as well just shoot yourself, because that's what we're here for. We're here to grow and to change. And I think we really need to be really forgiving with each other, because we're all growing and changing. We're all growing and changing at really different rates. And some days are better than others. some days we're growing lots and some days we're just sitting still. And that's okay. That's so okay. You know, it's okay to stop doing. Damn it. It's okay to just be. Just be. If I have one message out of all this, it's just be loving. Just, you know, the next time that you're on the internet or whatever and you find yourself getting really frustrated with things, and I know there's some really scary stuff out there right now. On both sides. There's no sides. It's two wings of the same bird. But if you find yourself getting really upset, really annoyed, really unnerved by people, really pushed beyond your edge, take a breath and see if you can just cultivate love in your heart, as cheesy as that sounds, to just be loving, to just be forgiving. Think about some of the greatest spiritual teachers that have ever walked on this planet. I think that the energy that they conveyed, the reason why people wanted to be near them, is because they felt forgiven when they were near them. They felt forgiven. And we often, I think more than anything else, we've not forgiven ourselves. So many of us have not forgiven ourselves, and that brings me to the next question I wanted to ask, which is, this is sort of painful, but think about the worst thing that you've ever done. Think about the thing that you just can't seem to forgive yourself for, is if there is something. And ease up around it. And remember that we're all human, we're all learning, and really this is all pretend. We're kind of making all this up as we go. And you don't have to carry that around. What's the other quote is, carrying around resentment and anger is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. You're only hurting yourself by carrying that resentment and pain around with you at yourself. So if you can learn to ease up around it a little bit, forgive yourself, and then you'll begin to forgive others too. And forgiveness is the sweetest medicine. And it's not forgiveness for the other person. You're not forgiving them for them. You're forgiving them for you, so that you're not hanging on to it, so that you can let it go. It doesn't mean you forget all these bad things that are happening in the world, all these people doing these bad things. We're not going to forget about people doing bad things, but we can learn to forgive them. Forgiving our worst enemies is the greatest challenge, but I think it's really what we're all going to have to learn to do in order to ascend, in order to evolve to this next phase of humanhood that we're going through right now. What an amazing time we're going through. Holy cow, man. I didn't think this was going to happen. When I was a kid, I had recurring dreams about this kind of thing happening, this shift, and I kind of given up hope. I didn't think it was going to happen. It's happening. And it's, again, like cleaning out a closet or defragging a computer. It's not exactly pretty. And you can choose which part you want to look at. Something dies, something else is reborn. Happens every day in nature, all the time. We have this big fear of death and this big fear of the shadow and this big fear of darkness, but it's totally natural. We can't have the light without the dark. And part of the world is the old part of the world right now is dying. I don't know if you want to say that, but and I apologize. I feel such profound, heartfelt for anyone who's lost anyone recently. I think that people who have transcended these physical bodies recently, I believe in reincarnation, and that's my personal thing, and you can choose not to, and that's totally okay. But I think that we're just trading in these vessels for a new one. I think that those people maybe will just get to come back in a different vessel that already has the new operating system in it, right? And I also think, and Erica can confirm this, that spirits, our energy is around us all the time. We're all energy. Everything is energy. Everything is vibration. And I'm starting to get a little farther into the woo-woo than I wanted to get, but Mother Earth is shifting we have to move through this together, individually, collectively. We have to begin to take responsibility for what we're thinking and feeling, what we're doing, what we're putting out into the world. Choosing to not sit in victimhood, to connect with and talk about and become aware of the darkness within us and the things that are happening in the world, but not sit in them and not stew in them for too long. Don't let yourself become a victim, because you're not helping yourself. You can process the pain, move through it, and use it as, the phoenix rises, stands up on top of the ashes. The lotus flower grows from the mud. We need that pain to build, to grow, to become better people. We have to risk, and we have to fail in order to grow. And I will lastly say, you can get bitter, or you can get better, or you can get somewhere in between, because that's another thing that I think is happening right now, is all the time, is going back to that polarity of black and white and right and wrong and heaven and hell and God and devil and all that, was we have this tendency to think in really black and white terms. We're like, is it this or is it that? Do you like this person or you like that one? Do you want this nominee or this nominee, or do you think this or this? I took a survey the other day, and all of the questions were, do you think it's this or do you think it's this? And I was like, I don't think it's either. I think it's a little bit of both. There's so much nuance in the world. Look at nature. Nature's full of nuance. It's not black and white. I mean, parts of it are. The tide goes in, the tide goes out, the moon waxes, the moon wanes. But there's so much. There's blooming. There's all these processes of blooming and death and rebirth and the cycles and the seasons, and that's all inside of us too. So be forgiving with each other. Be forgiving with yourself. Find kindness. Just be loving. And we are all right. We are all right for whatever it is that our experience is in any given moment. We're all right, and we're all right. And everything's going to be all right. Thank you for listening to that. I felt like it was really important. I feel like it's more important for me personally to start sharing the gifts that I have to give, that I feel like I was brought here to give to the world. So if you like it, cool. Come and find me on my channels. I'm not going to turn this into an advertising thing, I'm so tired of that stuff. But if you like it, cool, and if you don't, turn it off. And that's the thing that we have right now. We're more connected than ever to 1 million, billion, 7 billion people all over the world. We've never experienced this before, and we have the opportunity to say yes to what we want, to cultivate a high level of energy and emotion toward excitement, toward what we want, or we can keep yelling no at the problems. No. And I don't think that is, I think that we can, again, become aware of the problems, work through them, but really, how do we want to build the new world? What do we want the new world to look like? And how can we cultivate those feelings within ourselves first, and then radiate that out to the universe? I forgot where I was going with all that, but we're all right. I am beginning to share the gifts that I feel like I was brought here to give, so thank you very much for listening. Sorry it's kind of coming out with some ums and such, but as I get more and more comfortable with sharing in this kind of format, it is a little bit challenging. There's a lot of viewers. I will be able to connect to source a little bit more powerfully and bring those messages through as I feel like I'm supported and loved, as we all should be. That said, I do want to move a little bit, so if you feel like moving, let's do a little bit of moving. I'm gonna move the camera, and my legs are stiff from sitting, so if you've been sitting, oh boy. Let's sit up, and let's see if I can bring the camera down. Let's sit up and move around a little bit. Move our bodies. So one of the big things that happens is we sit all day, and especially right now we're on the computer a lot and such, and one of the biggest ways that we can process all of these strange, wacky emotions that are coming up within all of us is through movement. And for all of you light workers out there, I heard somebody say the other day that the only way that we can get ourselves to sleep right now in these changing, shifting times is to wear out the physical vessel, which I have been experiencing that a lot. I've had a really hard time sleeping. I didn't go to sleep until 5 o'clock this morning, and that is pretty normal for me, and I actually don't feel tired. That's the weird part. Not really sleeping much, don't really need it, but if I wear out the physical vessel, then I can sleep. So we're not going to wear out the physical vessel, but let's move around a little bit. One of the things that I want to do is a little bit of swaying, because we want to kind of get the left and the right hemispheres working. This is another part of that kind of black and white and right and wrong, heaven and hell thing, is right and left hemispheres of our brain. It's actually not as simplified as people say that it's like the left hemisphere is responsible for the expansive feminine yin nature, the creation, the moon, and the right hemisphere is, or I'm sorry, the left hemisphere, I think I might have said that wrong. Left is like right hand, which is like logic and masculine and structure and thinking, and I think that we've really been in that masculine. We've been in our right hands a lot. We've been in our left brains a lot. So movement is one of the ways that we can kind of get those sides working together. However, it's also not like all things. It's not that black and white. There are different parts of our brains that fire up according to whatever thoughts and feelings we're having at different times, and they're kind of all over the place. So I think that some of them do tend to lie more in the right or left hemispheres, but again, it's all nuanced. And we can create, this is the last thing I want to say, we can create new pathways, new neural pathways. This is the new neuroscience. Is, we have these old pathways that we walk down in our lives, in our brains. Like if you think of the brain as like a jungle, and for those of you who have taken my workshops before, you've heard me say this, so feel free to fast forward. But if you think of the brain as like a jungle, or the body as like a jungle, the being as a jungle. And sometimes you have to take a machete out there to clear a new path, because we've got these old pathways that we're walking down, these old patterns of thinking, these old ways of thinking about things. And when we try to change the way that we're thinking and feeling and being, it's difficult. It hurts. It's like challenging. It's like, oh, that's not a path that I'm used to going down. It's all thorny, and I got the machete out, and I don't want to do that. But you have to take that machete out there. You got to chop down the new path. You got to intentionally walk on the thorny ground for a little while, and you got to ignore that old path if it's not benefiting you. And you got to intentionally become really aware of the thoughts and the feelings, and take a new path, and keep taking that new path until the new path becomes the path. And inevitably, you're going to go down those old pathways in your brain, those old thinking patterns. And I think the key there is to forgive yourself when you do, and you go, oh, I did that thing again. I got really angry while I was driving, or I got on the internet and I fired off a crappy response, or I got really pissy with my partner. I did that thing. Why didn't, we go, why did I do that thing? I can't believe I did that thing again. I need to be better. And we scold ourselves, and we say these things to ourselves that we would never say to somebody else, to a stranger, or a kid, or a friend. Well, I shouldn't have done that. I think the better way, in my experience, what I learned to do mostly is to take a breath. I did that thing. I was snippy at my partner. I got angry. Whatever it was. For me, it's like it's rushing around, being crazy, nervous energy. And I'll actually even say out loud to myself sometimes, we're doing that thing. We're doing that thing where we run around and we're all crazy right now, and we're all anxious and nervous and shaky, and take a breath. We did that thing because we've been doing that thing for 40 some odd years, or 50 or 30, however old you are. You've been doing those things. You've been thinking those certain ways for a long time. You've been going down that old path for a long time, and it's comfortable for you. Even if it's not good for you, it's comfortable. So you keep doing it. Take a breath. Go, yep, I went down that old path again. I forgive myself, though. I can just take a breath, and I can just let it go. I don't have to focus on it. I don't have to dwell on it. I don't have to beat the crap out of myself for beating the crap out of myself for beating the crap out of myself. I can't believe that I got mad at myself for getting mad at myself for getting mad at myself. Like that whole thing, just take a breath. Just stop. And maybe you don't have that brain. I did for a long time. I still do on a rare occasion, but for the most part, I have rewritten the pathways. And it was challenging and hard, not easy at all, but I'm super grateful that I did this work. I'm a totally different person than I was 10 or 20 years ago. I mean, 1,000 times different. And they say that we're new people every 7 years, down to the molecular level. We change who we are. Like our bones and our skin and everything regrows, regenerates. We shed our skin, we shed everything. So you really are a totally different person than you were 7 or 10 years ago. And you can continue. You can be a different person tomorrow if you just make the decision to be. And then keep intentionally going down those new pathways and forgive yourself when you go down the old pathways. Because you're going to do that. Inevitably, that's going to happen. So, all right, I said we were going to move around, and then we didn't move around. So I want to begin with a little bit of shaking. So remember the question that I asked earlier, which is, there was 2 questions that I asked. One was, what do you think about the most? What are your predominant thoughts most of the time? Are they like, and I'm kicking out my legs, by the way, in case you can't see. Are they nice? Are they kind? Are they thoughtful? Are you kind to yourself? Are you mean to yourself? Are you mean to other people? Are you angry? What are you most of the time? How do you feel? Think about that. If there are some feelings and thoughts in there that are maybe not so kind, maybe not so nice, maybe not so helpful, maybe not so true, think about the stuff that your brain says that is like just crazy. It's crazy talk. I've heard somebody say once, what if you took the thoughts in your head that you say to yourself and you made it your roommate and you like put it beside you, the person, the voice inside of you that's talking, you backhand it in 5 minutes, like shut up, you're crazy, right? Because the brain says crazy stuff. Where was I going with that? Become conscious, become aware of what you think most. If there is something that is negative or not serving you in some way, I want you to kind of drum it up. Kind of drum it up into your system. And instead of being mad at yourself for it, like you probably always do, because we all do, shake it out. Just let it go. Just shake out your legs, shake out your feet. Hopefully you're by yourself in the room. If your kids are with you, you can jump around. And remember that we're not supposed to be taking all this so seriously. We get so serious. Everything doesn't have to be so serious. We're actually allowed to have fun and have joy, and this is how we begin to release the parts of ourselves and the parts of the world that we don't like very much, is by just releasing them, breathing them out. So shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. Shake it out, shake out your legs, shake out your hands, jump around like an a-hole. Remember not to take yourself too seriously. Shake it, shake it, shake it. Find some bouncing. All right, and now we're going to do a little exercise to kind of pair up the left and right hemispheres. So hopefully you can see me okay still. We're going to take the right hand or left hand, whatever it is for you, we might be opposite, and we're going to look over at the hand. We're going to watch the hand as it comes up and over. We're going to keep watching the hand. We're going to bring it across the meridian line. This is matching up the left and right hemispheres. We're going to bring up the left leg, the opposite leg, and we're going to tap that hand on the opposite leg. All right, and then we bring it back. And we're just going to do that a few times. So we'll go with the opposite hand. So back, and we're looking up at the hand, and we bring it down onto the knee. And then the other one. And we're watching, watching, watching the hand as it crosses over onto the knee. And we're watching, crosses over onto the knee, and we're breathing while we do this. And up and over, and across, and up and over, and across. And see, it's kind of hard. Whew. And I lost my music. You keep going. Up and over, and across, and up and over, and across, and up and over, and across, and up and over, and across. And while we're doing this, I'm going to tell you about another thing. If you don't know, about binaural beats. Go to YouTube and type in binaural, B-I-N-A-U-R-A-L, binaural beats, and just listen. And if you don't already have a meditation practice, then maybe you can take just 5 minutes, even just 5 minutes, and maybe put on one of those binaural beats, excuse me, and allow yourself to just be for just 5 minutes. Don't do anything. Don't do anything. If you think, of course you're going to think. The brain thinks, that's what it does. Just watch the thoughts. Don't try to shut them off. So I always hear people say, oh, I can't meditate because I can't not think. Well, of course you can't not think. That's like trying to get a 2-year-old to shut up. It's like trying to get a parrot to settle down. Your brain's going to think. That's what it does. The goal is to become aware of the thoughts, to not be so connected to the thoughts, to not think that you are the thoughts, to know that you are not your thoughts. You're not even your body. You're a spirit. Take a deep breath, hands up overhead. Bring your hands into heart center. Close your eyes for just a minute. Feel your connection to the earth underneath your feet. And just take just a second here of gratitude, remembering where you came from, remembering what you're here for. I don't think that we're here just to work and die. I think that we are each here for a unique purpose. What are you here for? What are you grateful for about yourself? I want you to think of at least 2 things that you're grateful for about yourself, and I want you to allow yourself to feel them. Just feel it for a minute. What do you love about yourself? What do you have to offer the world? And then I want you to think of at least 2 things that you're grateful for just today, just generally this morning, today. It could be nature outside, it could be a warm cup of coffee. And really bring those feelings into your being. Allow your heart to expand with that feeling of gratitude. And now I'd like you to visualize what you want the world, which includes you, to look like, to feel like, to smell like and taste like and be like and touch like and hear and listen like and sound like, and bring it into your vision. And breathe it in. Bring it in as if you're pulling it in from the earth. And bring it up to your third eye area and hold it there for a moment at the top of your breath. And know that it can be. It will be. We're all right. Now let it go. And be okay whether it comes or not, because it's all pretend. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. Oh, hi. I see Amanda from Canada. Hello. I want to do a little bit more movement, but I think I'm just going to, actually I'm going to check the time. Actually, I've got about 3 more minutes. So let's do this. If you are able to lie down, I would like you, well, actually, I'm so indecisive right now. Actually, let's shake. We're going to shake a little bit more. We're just going to shake everything out. Shake out your booty. Shake out your legs. Give a little bounce. And we're going to sway back and forth. We're going to sway from the right to the left. That was the other one I wanted to do. Sorry for my discombobulation. Right and left, and we're swaying, and we're bouncing, and we're swaying, and we're bouncing. We're swaying, and we're bouncing, and we're swaying, and we're bouncing. Breathe in. All right, and we're shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. Shake everything out, shake out your head. Shake out your booty and your arms. Okay, now, come on down to the floor if you can, or a chair, if that's not comfortable. And we're gonna lie down. And I'm gonna talk you through a little very brief yoga nidra. And boy, you're seeing my crazy house today. So lie down on your back, if it's comfortable for you, or seated in a chair. And you're going to relax your shoulders. Relax your jaw. Take a nice deep breath and let it go. And relax the top of your head. Let it melt to the earth below. Relax your eyeballs and their sockets. Just let them sink in. Relax the tongue inside the mouth. Relax the jaw, the shoulders, the neck. Relax your chest. Soften your heart. Soften the tops of the arms, the elbows, your forearms. The palms are softened. And each finger, pinky, ring, middle, index, and thumbs. Soft and relaxed. And moving back to the ribs, soft. Letting go. Letting your belly melt into your spine. Letting the pelvic region relax, your hips melting, your bosom softens into the floor, thighs relax, your calves are soft, and your feet, heels, the middle of the foot, the ball of the foot, and each toe relaxed and soft. Allow yourself to just melt here. And just be. Moving your ankles and your wrists. Taking a nice deep breath, inviting some breath back into the body. You pull the knees up into the chest and rock back and forth a little. Or maybe stretch your arms up overhead if that feels better for you. Have your ankles around in a circle. And roll yourself up to seated. You can see you've still got a few people. Bring your hands into heart center, find a nice comfortable seated position, or whatever feels good for you. If you're already in a chair, just relax. Remember that you're allowed to be happy. You're allowed to be loving. And if you're not, that's okay too. You're allowed to be whatever it is that you be. Just be the best that you can be in any given moment, and know that seasons change within and without. We're always growing, always changing. The earth is going through a huge changing shift right now, and we can all kind of take a breath and let her breathe. We can also take a breath and let ourselves breathe. For me, I've been stepping away from the computer a lot lately, which has been wonderful. Highly recommend it. Remember to notice your thoughts, your feelings. Be kind to yourself, whatever they are. Be forgiving if they're not so great, and choose different ones if they're not. It really can be that simple. We make it so complicated. But remember that you can be happy. You can feel whatever it is that you want to feel in any given moment. So decide, what do you want to feel? How do you want to feel? How can you cultivate that feeling? Because the more that you cultivate that feeling, the more that that feeling will find you. Thanks so much for tuning in with me, everybody. I'll post some links and stuff to sites, and a couple people have asked about donating. I love donations, but I wanted to do this for free. I want to continue to do this Tuesday morning thing for free, but I probably will convert it to a Zoom kind of thing pretty soon, if nothing else, just so that I can interact with people, so I'm not just talking to myself here. I want to play Hollywood Squares with all of you and connect, and we can all answer each other's questions and just talk about whatever it is that we're feeling. It's all okay. You're all right. We're all right. And we're all right. Have a beautiful, blessed day, everybody. Peace. Namaste.